I can't hear you.
All right, we're live. Go ahead. It's all right, Ryan.
Good morning. Welcome to the Berrien County Finance Committee. May I ask you, Stephanie Carlson, would you call the roll, please?
Commissioner Yarborough.
Present via Zoom, City of Benton Harbor.
Commissioner Hinkleman.
Present, Zoom, Waterville Lake.
Commissioner Scott.
Present via Zoom, New Buffalo Township.
Commissioner Freeland.
Present via Zoom, Florida Township.
Thank you. All members are present. Is Annette away?
Yes.
Stephanie, would you read the items on the agenda? Tell us our first item.
We're going to have Jake do the bid openings, and let's see, can start with.
Yeah, so to the Finance Committee, I apologize, but we have road construction going on just outside of the administration building. So the amount of background noise that you're going to hear is going to be a lot. Staff will do our best to speak loudly and as clearly as possible, but please just know that the amount of background noise is beyond our control. Madam Chair, we have one item that ties back to last week's meeting.
Yes.
We have both Dan and Katie on today's Zoom that can assist with this. But last week we opened bids for the county's master plan. At that time, we only had one bid. Staff has put together a memo that was sent to the full Finance Committee just addressing the fact that we do have a second bid. We're asking for permission to discuss the second bid and whether or not to proceed with opening it.
Okay. What are your thoughts, Commissioner?
Madam Chair, this is Commissioner Freeling.
Yes.
As a member who serves on the Planning Commission, when I saw that this was an option and that there was justification for the delay in receiving this, I'm comfortable with us proceeding and opening because it was outside of their control and they had done their due diligence as a contractor to get the bid package to the admin building in time. So I would vote that we move forward.
Okay. Any other comments? I agree, and that would be our process, is if it, no fault of your own was late getting here, that we would consider it. And I'm thankful that we have another, an additional bid there. Administrator Doucette, the proper thing to do would be to accept it.
So my advice is we proceed with opening the bid, allow staff to review, and then consider taking action after the review has been completed. I think that it's going to provide greater value to the Planning Commission as well as the overall citizenry if we know that we've had at least a couple of options for our consultant assisting with the master plan.
Thank you. Thank you. So don't vote on it or anything right now, you're saying? Or just say we agree?
Step one is just let's open it if finance is comfortable.
Okay. Are you all ready?
Madam Chair, this is Commissioner Scott. I have a question.
Yes.
I have looked, I can't find it on any of my emails. I'm trying to figure out where is this justification at?
Oh, it was sent to us over the email where, Brian, can you?
I'll resend it right now.
The reason I'm asking is there's always extenuating circumstances. We have allowed this type of thing to happen before. Back when we allowed it to happen, I can't remember exactly who it was or what it was that they were late. It was no fault of their own, I believe. It had something to do with the FedEx or something like that. I just don't want to get into a slippery slope of allowing this on a regular basis due to the fact that everybody has the opportunity to get their bid in on time. They know what the parameters are. And if we start violating or running amok from our policies, I think that's just a slippery slope. But I haven't seen the explanation, so I know nothing about it.
And what
Commissioner, if
I would
if
like
could.
to say, will you tell us what happened, Director Fetty?
Commissioners, what happened is that one of the bidders submitted their proposal Tuesday, what we can see is Tuesday morning by overnight, 24-hour overnight airmail. It should have arrived by Wednesday, well within the time of the bid, but it didn't arrive until Thursday morning around 10 o'clock or 10:30 Thursday morning. So it was the carrier's fault for not delivering it within the 24-hour period. The bidder has provided us evidence that they did submit it on Tuesday morning, and that under the payment agreement for the 24-hour air mail, it should have been Wednesday morning that arrived. So because they're not at fault, they didn't cause the delay, the carrier caused the delay, we thought it was appropriate that the finance committee accept that bid.
And if that's the case, then I'm perfectly okay with this. That's all. I just needed an explanation because I hadn't received anything yet. I can't find it anyplace. So, all right, but thank you. That's good. I'm good with it. Let's go ahead. Let's open it up.
Thank you.
Get it
John?
done.
John?
All right, so
John, did you start to say something? Hinkleman?
I just said I'm fine with it, Mamie.
Thank you. Me too. Please, please go ahead, Jake, and open the bid.
all right, so this is for bid 2021-38, last week's county master plan economic development. This bid is from William and Works out of Grand Rapids, Michigan. Their bid is $33,385.
Okay. May I have a motion, please?
Madam Chair, this is Commissioner Scott.
Yes?
I think we have one other item of business on this. I would like to make a motion to rescind the motion to accept the bids on 5/5/21 and send them to the department head. And I'd like to rescind that before we make a motion to move forward. Otherwise, we're making a motion to move forward for the same bid 2 weeks in a row, and there should only be one motion. So I'd
Okay.
like to make a motion to rescind last week's motion to
Okay.
accept the bid and send it to the department head. We'll do that first, I think.
Was
I
that
don't
May 6th was last week? And
Yeah,
May
yeah,
6th. We send the May 6th.
correct.
Is that two separate votes?
Yeah, I believe we should do two separate votes. I don't know what the rest of the board thinks or the committee thinks, but I think for clarity, at least we need to have that specified.
Thank you. May I have a motion, please, to rescind the vote?
I made it.
On this
I
item.
made it.
Okay.
Madam
Maybe-
Chair, you have the motion. I will support that motion to rescind the May 6th vote.
Thank you. May I ask any questions?
Well, just a comment. I'm not sure that we have to rescind the other one if we can't just add this to it, but I'm fine with whatever the protocol is.
Okay.
That's why I asked that, John. I wasn't sure what to do. I didn't want to have two of them for the same, so that's why I asked to.
No, I think all you have to do, you've already accepted the other one as the bids, but you never use the word in totality. And so all you would have had to do, I think, is just add this to it, but rescinding the motion, it'll get the same job done.
All right, thank you.
Okay. And we've gotten this far with it. Next time, stop us before we kill. Help us. Please, Stephanie, would you call the roll? Hello?
Oh, Commissioner Yarborough,
Yes.
Commissioner Hinkleman,
Yes.
Commissioner Scott,
Yes.
Commissioner Freeling.
Yes.
Motion carries. Um,
Madam Chair, this is Commissioner Scott. I'd like to make a motion
Yes,
to accept the bids for bid number 2021-038 and send these bids back to the department head for their review. And if they meet specifications, to go ahead with the lowest, most qualified bidder. And if not the lowest, then they would have to come back to the finance committee for their reasons.
okay. May I have support?
Support.
It's been moved and properly supported. Any questions, discussion? Stephanie, would you call the roll, please?
Commissioner Yarborough,
Yes.
Commissioner Hinkleman, Commissioner Scott,
Yes.
Commissioner Freeling.
Yes.
I'd just like to comment and say thank you
You're
for your
welcome.
time. Appreciate it.
Thank you. May I ask Commissioner Scott, would you be prepared to make a report on this bid and whatever's going on, waivers or whatever?
Absolutely. I would be happy to do that.
But thank you. Will you continue, Jake?
All right, the next bid is 2021-50. This is holsters for the sheriff's department. We sent it out to 5 people and 3 responded. This first one is CMP Distributors out of Lansing, Michigan. Their bid is $32,963.90.
How many holsters? are-
Chuck?
Yeah, so it's a duty holster for each of the firearms that have already been selected, and obviously that purchase was approved. And then there's the 25 for the smaller plainclothes, and then concealment holsters. So there's a number. I don't have it in front of me because I'm on my laptop, but it covers the purchase, the holsters for the new firearms. It was part of that bid process
Yeah,
when the SIGs were identified as the firearms we're transitioning to.
okay. Thank you. I don't need any deeper than that. I just wondered at the amount.
Yeah, so the number seems like, because it is duty holster, then also in some cases, some concealment holsters as well. And they are level 3 holsters as we went through the transition after the incident at the courthouse.
Okay, all right. Thank you. Where are we?
I have 2 more bids to open for them, or for this.
Okay, continue.
All right, next is Mallory Safety and Supply out of Eugene, Oregon. Their bid is $28,614.75. And the last bid is from Vance Outdoors out of Columbus, Ohio. Their bid is $29,404.75.
May I have a motion, please?
Madam Chair, this is Commissioner Scott. I'll make a motion to send these bids back to the department head for their purview to check on the specifications and requirements. And if it all checks out, then they're able to go with the lowest bidder. And if not the lowest bidder, then they have to come back to the committee and let us know why.
Okay, may I have a support?
Support.
Commissioner Freeling, thank you. Thank you both. Any questions, discussion? Stephanie, would you call the roll, please?
Commissioner Yarborough,
Yes.
Commissioner Hinkleman,
Yes.
Commissioner Scott,
Yes.
Commissioner Freeling.
Yes.
Motion carries. Jay?
That's it for bids. Now we're on to the waiver requests. The first one is going to be for co-file, 16 millimeter microfilm security archival of Berrien County recorded documents. They're asking for a waiver of $7,287.48 annually. And Laura is here.
Yeah, Madam Chair, we do have Laura Freeling here, the Register of Deeds.
Okay. Would you want to tell us about what this is? Or you all have any questions?
Yeah, so make it a little closer so you can hear me a little better. Thank you. So I did send forth a memo. Hopefully you guys all had a chance to read it. So statutorily, we have to record or copy every document that we record, one for the public, one to keep in safekeeping. So that's what this is for. It has been done consistently ever since the inception of especially the electronic documents. And I'm just trying to change the vendor that has been used in the past. So coming in, unfortunately, I didn't have the benefits of speaking to the previous register and how she did it, where her contract was. If there was a contract, I've never found one. So I think it was just something that she did with a specific vendor. I have been having extreme difficulties trying to complete the process with this vendor. So I just have gone to CoFile, which is our current land management software vendor. They can do this process as well. It's some of the things I've highlighted is, they have a competitive unit price, and they've averaged this out. This what's shown annually is basically averaged out based on our history. They will bill as per for the actual page count that they are microfilming. Data is very easy for them to transfer and to get to this film process and send back to us. And the other thing I wanted to note on the contract that I also included so that you could take a look at was the date out through 2025. That's just to coincide with our current contract for the land management software, which is County Fusion. So that's what this is about. If you have additional questions, I'm happy to answer.
Okay. Any questions, commissioners? Thank you so much for being there and explaining to us. What is your thought about waiving and going out any further? I'm fine with it.
I'm sorry, going out for what? I'm sorry, going out.
She's talking to the other.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I'm good.
That's
With
why
it.
I was asking the commissioners.
Yeah, I'm good with it, Mamie.
Okay. And I am too. And especially if you're already working with the company that's supplying, very well. Any other comments? Then we agree to waive this and to be able to go with that company.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Jake?
All right, next we will do, this is from Parks. The vendor varies. It's drug and laboratory disposal of ERG environmental services. This is pesticide disposal service performed at Clean Sweep Grant Program events. And Jill is here for all of your questions.
Do you have any questions? And Jill, are you in the room?
I am, yes.
I just didn't know where you were. So are these, I just forgot my question. Oh, I know. These are the companies, each, when we go to the disposal, recycle, drive in, and those are the companies that you're paying. Is that what these are?
Yes. This is a state grant that we've had for 25 years. It's a reimbursement grant. 100% of the costs for this program are reimbursed. Berrien County works with 4 different municipalities, different counties in our solid waste consortium region, and we pass costs for their pesticide disposal through Berrien's grant agreement.
Okay.
And so the vendors may vary, and we may have up to 6 invoices that will go through this process. So I'm asking for this waiver to handle any of those invoices that come through this grant in this manner for the rest of this grant cycle.
Okay. Any questions?
Jill, Commissioner Scott. So this is for a $30,000 waiver, basically, for the 6 different vendors. What do we do in the situation if we approve this and then throughout the year we exceed the grant? What happens then?
Great question. So the grant total that you all approved was $30,000. If we see that we're approaching that as a region effort, I will contact the state and ask for more funding. In my time here, I've had to do that twice, and additional funding has been granted.
Thank you for that explanation.
Any other questions? Then I'm fine with waiving that. And this, you come to us each year, or you said through your the grant cycle? What is that? You've been doing it 20 years. Not you, you're not that old, but it's been happening always anyway. So is it for 1 year?
Yes, if this waiver could be for any more invoices of this kind through this grant cycle.
Any other questions? Then I agree to waiving that request or making that request happen.
I'm good too.
Okay, all right. Thank you, Jill.
Thank you.
Jake?
All right, next is from IS. The vendor is Black Diamond. This is for Bitdefender antivirus software, asking for a waiver amount of $12,673.29.
Any questions, discussion?
Madam Chair, Chris Swihart, is this the same vendor that we have been using, or is it a different vendor?
No, this is just our annual renewal that we budget for every year. Bitdefender we've used since 2018. They're the global leader in antivirus, and they've been a very good product for us. So this is just the annual renewal that's part of my budget, and that gives us continued support and antivirus updates.
Thank you for the explanation.
Any other questions? Chris, I would like to ask, why is it not in sooner? You say it has to be done by June, or by the first week of June. And so we're waiving it because you would normally have sent it in already, or waiving it, you know what?
So what happened was Monday I received notification for the company that our renewal was coming due. And so then I submitted for the rec to get our renewal processed. I was contacted yesterday by finance and told that I had to submit the waiver for the request. Again, this is something we do on a regular basis every year about the same time. We have a certain window, so we don't tend to pay it too far in advance, just based on if there are any changes. So it's just that time of year. We keep a spreadsheet of hundreds of products that we renew every year.
Yes.
And this is just that time of year.
Okay. Any other questions? And so this is for 1 year? That was another thing I wondered, how long?
Yes, yep, every year we renew our antivirus subscription, and this will cover us until the same time in 2022.
Okay, thank you. I agree to waive it. Other members? Fine. Please go ahead and know that you can do it.
Thank you.
Madam Chair. Madam Chair.
Yes.
So we have a lot on today's agenda, and we have presentations that are likely to run a little bit long. So I say this with the complete commitment. I would like to plant the seed for the Finance Committee's consideration, and we can then cover this at a future meeting of the Finance Committee. But the IS department's a real good example of complications that tie back to the waiver process. As Chris just noted, he has hundreds of products that will require annual renewals, and we are going to see the Finance Committee just loaded with waiver requests that tie directly back to our computing needs. So at some point in the near future, I'd like to have a conversation with the Finance Committee about how we can refine this waiver process to ensure that the IS department and other departments have some greater flexibility on getting some of these approvals done in an expedited manner while still being respectful of the waiver process and meeting the wants and needs of the Finance Committee. I'm not asking for that conversation to occur today, and I know that we've got some refinement work to do. But yesterday, Chris and I had a somewhat spirited discussion about how he has dozens upon dozens of examples of a situation where we are tied to one vendor, and oftentimes those renewals come and they don't offer a whole lot of time to get them through the approvals process.
Okay.
Brian, I would like you to know, and Madam Chair, I strongly support trying to streamline the process. And the thing that springs to mind here is that on these waivers, something that we can all look over, a consent calendar, if you will, of in similar fashion, so that we can look them all over at the same time and then pull one if there's a problem with it. So a streamlined approach, whatever you come up with, I know you don't want the discussion at this point in time, but whatever you come up with to streamline the approach would be much appreciated from my standpoint.
Thank you. Brian?
To the committee, I'll schedule this as a discussion for one of your upcoming meetings, and it's very much a two-way conversation. I've got some ideas, and I respect that the committee is likely to have some feedback. Now, with that said, we have more waivers to get through.
Okay, thank you very much. Jay?
Madam Chair, I'd just like to make a comment. Thank you for that, Brian. But one of the things that I'm very concerned about right now, and we as a board, or we as a committee, or we as a board, we need to be very flexible in the fact that with all of the cybersecurity hacks that are going on right now throughout the nation, and the being held hostage like the pipeline was, we may have to be making decisions quickly in order to make sure that our IS department has the tools that it needs to protect the county's IS infrastructure. That's just my thought. I just want everybody to, we might have to do something different, but we need to make sure that all of that stuff is protected right away as soon as possible.
Okay.
All right. The next waiver is for BioCare. This is KN95 mask fitting for all deputies, respiratory surveillance and pulmonary function test. And this is from the Sheriff's Department. I believe Chuck was on.
So I will apologize, much like County Administrator said, we have construction going on the roof, and it seems to be right over my office right now. So I will try and speak loudly if you hear background noise. Just a little bit of a refresher, BioCare we used last year. Prior to a pandemic, I didn't really know what a KN95 mask was, but they're now required. You may recall that last year corporate counsel weighed in that there is a requirement for public safety to do these mask fit tests. So this again is using BioCare. BioCare has the ability of a mobile lab that comes right to our facility. They've set up in the warehouse, just like they did last year. So it is very cost effective to us to be able to have people, at least the deputies are on staff. Obviously midnight shift, we have to still have come in to get it done. But it's an extreme benefit to us from a cost savings and a scheduling to have them come on site with a mobile lab in doing the fit testing for these masks.
Thank you. And you're satisfied with what they do and all? Is that what you said last year? That was well, yes, the pandemic just came. So you're satisfied?
And we have them this year. So as long as we're going to still be required to use the N95, this is KN95 just because where it's made. We're under that same requirement right now. So we're in the process with BioCare of getting that done. And then obviously it fell into because it is, over $1,000 the waiver, but we are requesting to continue to use BioCare based on the service we had last year and the ability they can do it on site.
All right. Any other questions, commissioners?
This is Commissioner Scott. Chuck, on the invoice that's done there, invoice 8095, it says respiratory surveillance fire department. I thought it was for the sheriff's department.
It is. That may be a typo on theirs. They do a lot of fire departments across the county as well, but it was for us. Part of that is we have to do a survey. So to do the mask fit test, where they talk about the respiratory, it's not only the seal of the mask, it's a respiratory assessment that's done. If there's any issues, then the employee, that we always have a certain number of employees that have to follow up with the doctor based on that testing, but that's what they do.
I'm okay with this, Madam Chair.
Okay. Commissioners? So we waive and go ahead and get what you need. Jake? Jake Lideker, are you there?
Yeah, sorry. Yeah. The last waiver is for Vertiv. This is UPS PM service that protects Berrien County's critical infrastructure in the server room and server backup. Looks like it's coming from maintenance, and I have been told that Chris Whitehart knows about it as well, so hopefully he can answer any questions.
Would you just tell us a little bit about what it is?
Yeah, so I've been asked to fill in for Todd today. So these are the battery backup units that protect our critical infrastructure, our server rooms, our 911 center, any of our network hardware. So if we lose power or have power fluctuations, these devices protect our equipment from damage and keep them operational until generators and whatnot can kick in. So they're very critical. Anytime that we lose power, we rely on these heavily. Vertiv is the manufacturer of the equipment that we use. They own Liebert, who, is the same company. And so this is them coming in every year. It's a preventative maintenance that we do to make sure that the systems are functional, that there's no issues. They run a test to make sure that they're going to function and if we have an outage. And then they also will address any issues that come up, testing capacitors, batteries, and various items.
Thank you. Any questions? I agree to do it. And that's what Commissioner Scott just talked about, us being top, safe with all these computers and things. Woo.
I'm good with it.
You are?
Madam Chair.
Okay. Yes, Commissioner
Freeland, I had just a quick question, because I know on the justification it talked about how they're the lead vendor for preventative maintenance to be able to do this. Why not have them come to do the maintenance on it annually instead of having somebody else? And I wasn't quite certain where that justification came from, but I'm okay moving forward with it. I think that in the long run, it would be nice to know if there are other vendors out there that could do the preventative maintenance, just so that we have a little more justification in the long run. It's kind of like saying we need to go to the dealer in order to get our car repaired rather than going to an auto shop or a mechanic to have that serviced. Just from what I was reading in the memo that we received.
Yeah, I didn't, if I could add, I didn't write Todd's memo, so I didn't see it. He just asked me to speak about it today, so I apologize. But if I can add to this a little bit on this conversation, Emerson Liebert, they're all the same company. This is the manufacturer of that product. And given that it supports critical infrastructure like 911, it's very important. We don't want to bring somebody in that's going to use substandard parts, that doesn't have the knowledge of the manufacturer to maintain this equipment. I understand, like using a car as an example, but understand this is a high performance vehicle such as a Porsche or something like that. You wouldn't necessarily take that engine to just your average mechanic to get it worked on. You really need to take it to a specialist that knows it has access to the part, has access to the resources and the knowledge. Why? I'm all for, cost savings and being mindful of where we're spending money. To me, this just is not one of those points. We're talking critical infrastructure support. We're talking public safety. And so having the manufacturer come in is just the wisest decision, so.
Madam Chair.
Yes, Commissioner.
And I just want to follow up on that. Chris, I appreciate that explanation. I did my due diligence. I've read through and figured out what this actually was, because when you just see Vertec, UPS, PM, all these acronyms, you kind of got to do a little bit of digging. When I realized that this was critical server infrastructure, I'm good with this. I appreciate your time and your explanation on this. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Chris, I'd like to ask, would you introduce the person to us that's in the room, or who?
I'll let him introduce himself.
Hi, Kip Coolidge. I'm operations manager with the IAS group, and I think I've been in front of you guys maybe once or twice before.
And I've seen notes from you a lot.
Yeah, probably you do. Any of the network maintenance or stuff that we're paying for outages and updates, generally you're seeing my name attached to that. So
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions about the waiver? Then I would agree to do this. Yes. So please, Chris, go ahead and do what you need to.
All right. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
And Jake, more?
That's it for me today.
I thank you so much. Our financial analyst, Jake Whitaker. Annette, what's next on the agenda?
Madam Chair.
Yes.
Yep, we're going to move on to the next item.
And what is that?
And again, so we have Warren here. He's going to walk you through a presentation. And to the committee, I'm just looking out the window and I'm hoping that it's going to remain relatively quiet. If construction starts up again, we'll just do our best to speak as loudly as possible.
Okay. Thank you. Warren, would you?
Thank you, Madam Chair, and good morning, Finance Committee. Put together a little presentation for you this morning. I think I can get through it pretty quickly. This is in regards to approving the county's millage rates for 2021. I'm going to share my screen here. Okay. So typically every year, those millage rates gets approved at this point in May, and last year, these were the rates that were approved for 2020. It's at least it has been in recent years, a pretty routine process. It's been the same numbers, and there hasn't been much need to scrutinize them any further beyond that. However, this year,
things are a little bit different, and that's why I'm presenting today. The rates that I'm putting before you for approval for 2021 are slightly less than the 2020 rates. The reason for that is because the proposed 2021 rates have been reduced by a Headley millage reduction fraction, that is a Headley rollback, or MRF of 0.9991. And this is what that looks like. The 2020 millage rate times the reduction fraction equals the proposed 2021 reduced rate. So then the obvious question, why? Well, from the State Tax Commission, I'm going to just read this verbatim, states that the Headley millage reduction fraction intends that ignoring additions and losses, any current operating millage must be reduced if it would produce more tax dollars adjusted for inflation than it did last year. While this calculation may result in a millage reduction fraction that is less than 1, it cannot exceed 1. What that last part means is that there's no such thing as a millage roll forward or roll up. Millages can only roll back. But what does the rest of that mean? Well, here's how I like to think about it. This is definitely an oversimplification, but if taxable value increases too much from certain sources, then millage rates must be reduced so that the increase from those sources doesn't produce more tax dollars than the previous year. So taxable value increases from a number of sources. This is by no means an all-inclusive list, but these are some of the big ones that every year contribute to increases in taxable value. Does anyone care to wager a guess as to what our culprit is?
What are what?
What the culprit is, what's contributing to the rollback. If you've looked ahead, the answer is the transfers of ownership or the uncappings of taxable value. When properties sell, the taxable value will uncap to equal the state equalized value. And in cases where that gap between the two numbers is significant, there can be a significant increase in taxable value. So here's what that looks like mathematically. We start with the prior year taxable value, the 2020, where's my mouse here? The 2020 taxable value minus losses. Losses are things like property being demolished or removed, value taken off the roll, times the inflation rate multiplier of whatever it happens to be that year. That's what the State Tax Commission puts out, and that's what we have to use. So that's why inflation it is allowed for all intents and purposes, because that gets included in this formula. So prior year taxable value minus losses times the inflation rate multiplier. That figure gets divided by the 2021 taxable value minus additions. And again, these other categories of increased taxable value, new property construction, omitted property, exempt property becoming taxable, we would typically see those as additions which get removed from the Headley reduction formula. So at the end of the day, this is what we see. We've got our numerator and our denominator, one divided by the other equals our rollback fraction. So that's how the 0.9991 was computed. Taking a little bit closer look at that to see what does that mean exactly for Berrien County. Well, if we did not have a reduction fraction, or rather if that reduction fraction was simply 1 as it has been in recent years, we would, the county would still have the same operating levy that it has. And that is the amount that we said, or that was planned to levy. So when the budget was approved, we said, okay, we're going to presume that we'll be able to collect our, for lack of a better word, normal amount, our 4.7723 mils. The rolled back amount with our millage reduction fraction ends up being a slightly lesser number. So our planned levy against our actual levy means that the county operating mills will be 0.0043 less than the prior year, which equals approximately $37,000 in taxable value, or excuse me, in dollars when applied against our 2021 taxable value. However, this is where it gets interesting. When we were attempting to forecast the budget, you know, I got my crystal ball out and I raised the question. I said, well, what if in 2021 it becomes necessary to roll back the millage? Hypothetically, if that becomes necessary, this is what it might look like. We might have something like a 0.9980, which would mean our 2021 operating mills would be 4.7627. So for the purposes of projecting the budget, that's the number that was considered. Again, it was planned that the full levy would be collected if possible, but if a reduction occurs, it would be necessary to comply with that reduction. So our actual levy after this year's rollback, excuse me one second here. I think I might have put the wrong number in this PowerPoint, I apologize. The actual levy, I just want to confirm, oh yes, so this is what it would have been if it were not reduced, 0.7723. And then this is the number that was actually used in forecasting the budget. So we're actually looking at an increase in what was used in forecasting the budget. So at the end of the day, I apologize that I got a little bit lost in my numbers here. At the end of the day, the point I'm trying to make is that we were completely prepared for the possibility of a rollback in the preparation of the budget, which is actually really pretty neat. So my last, yes. My last comments then, just to highlight what this means for the county. A Headley rollback cannot be prevented. It's something that we're just at the mercy of the numbers. It's the math and the formula is what it is. The county would be collecting fewer mills than was planned because again, it was presumed that the normal full amount would be collected unless this reduction was necessary. However, the amount being used is more than was used in projecting the budget. So again, that's a good thing. And the result at the end of the day still means there will be more revenue in 2021 than there was in 2020 because of our 2.96 taxable value increase. And again, because taxable value increases from a number of sources, some of that increase is allowable under Headley. And then the last comment is that the reductions are permanent. So the rates that are proposed today would be, for lack of a better word, setting our new baseline for the rates next year, and so on and so forth. That's all I have for the presentation. I'm certainly happy to address any questions. I apologize for it taking longer than I hoped.
It's fine. Any questions, commissioners? And what do we do now? Do you need a motion or do you need an agreement from us?
Madam Chair,
Yes.
so similar to some of the brownfield presentations, this is coming first to finance. It will then move to the full board at next week's meeting, at which time a resolution will be considered by the board. No formal action is needed today. We were briefing finance and then using you all as a bit of a litmus test to figure out if major concerns were likely to come to the full board.
And you will make this presentation next Thursday to the full board?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much, Warren. You all have any other questions? Yes.
Just a comment, Warren, good work. You're new, we're gonna have to give you the new subtitle, Zoltar, King of the Forecasting or something. Good work. So
Thank you, Commissioner Hickman. I'd like to say that I'm a genius and that I managed to put together some complicated algorithm to predict this. But to be completely 100% honest, it was luck. It just happened to be that's how the dice got rolled, and the circumstances ended up being perfect. So,
Well, listen, Warren, you can go with the luck thing. I'm going to tell everybody that it was the genius thing. So that's
Yeah.
my
Yes, that's it.
I
Thank you.
I was planning to ask you to go buy lotto tickets for me today, but since you were just guessing, no, never mind.
I thank you, Warren. It's just very interesting, and we continue to learn. I appreciate the presentation. Any other questions? So we look forward to next week when you can explain it to the full board and can move on with it. The agenda, what's the next item?
Madam Chair, the next item is an update on our transit system. We do have Evan and Dan, Dan remote and Evan in the room.
Okay. Thank you. Make your presentation. Welcome.
Can everyone hear me?
Yes.
All right, wonderful. Good morning, everyone. We have a resolution for you today. It's F 21052226, and this pertains to a proposed contract between Berrien County and RISA to provide personnel services for the Berrien bus system. I know that Evan, I hope that you had an opportunity to see the memo that Evan prepared for you regarding this situation. But to be as brief as possible, you will recall around this time last year, our third-party operator, TMI, declared that they were going out of business.
Yeah.
And as a result of that, in order to sustain Berrien bus services, we had to hire a number of TMI employees directly on the county payroll. This would be drivers, dispatchers, custodians, and office manager as well. We brought them on under temporary work status, limiting them to 1,000 hours of work per year, and they became county employees effective July 1st of last year. We made it through all of last year without really bumping against that 1,000-hour limitation. But as we prepared the budget for this year, we knew that sometime around the middle of this year, most of these employees would reach that 1,000-hour limitation, at which point we'd be faced with a dilemma. We would either have to bring them on as full-time or part-time benefited workers on the county payroll, or we would have to seek employment services elsewhere. Now, for that purpose, we budgeted about $500,000 of contingency this year in the event that we would have to bring these employees onto the county payroll. Unfortunately, the commissioners were quite clear that you were reticent about doing that, as were we, because the costs were extreme to try to do that, and we didn't want to create permanent county employment. So we all winter and early spring, we've been facing this dilemma, knowing that we're going to reach a point where our workers are going to run out of hours, and we won't really know what to do at that point. Fortunately, Evan and I were able to negotiate an arrangement with RISA, where RISA has agreed to take on all of our Berrien bus employment onto their payroll through a third-party contract they have. And they have agreed to enter into a contract with Berrien County where we can buy back that labor, so to speak. So in essence, what will happen is the current Berrien County Berrien bus employees will become employees of a subsidiary third-party contractor with RISA. The county will then pay RISA an hourly rate to have those employees staff the bus system. These would be the drivers, the dispatchers, custodian, and office manager. The result of this is we project that doing this will cost about $295,000 for the rest of this year, which is well below the $500,000 that we budgeted. Moving forward, if this becomes a longer term arrangement, we believe that the full 12-month cost for this arrangement will be just a little bit over $400,000 a year, which is well under what it would cost us if we were to employ these individuals directly through the county. From the employee's perspective, they will be receiving the same salary or the same hourly rate that they're currently receiving, but they will also be eligible to be enrolled in a healthcare program, and they will also have the opportunity to have a 401k matching program available to them. So it provides more benefits to these employees, it reduces our costs, And it allows us to continue to operate without having to inflate Berrien County's permanent payroll in the process. So we are recommending that the contract be approved. RISA on Monday at their board meeting voted to approve this contract. It's been reviewed by MDOT. MDOT's satisfied that it's fine. It's been reviewed by the transit pool, our insurer as well, and our insurer is satisfied that it meets our coverage standards. So briefly, that's what we're proposing. As Evan said, it doesn't address any of the operational changes that we're looking at. It doesn't address any of the community partnerships that we're trying to establish. Those are a second thing that are longer term visions and goals of ours, but this helps us solve an immediate problem that we are facing and buys us essentially some breathing room to work forward on those community partnerships.
And this is what will keep it running the rest of this year.
Yes, the contract would run through the end of this year. It's renewable on a 12-month basis. After that, RISA has indicated that they're willing to renew it as long as is necessary for us to kind of solve the longer-term operational and strategic direction of Berrien Bus. So this keeps the buses running. It reduces our costs. It keeps the employees employed, and it gives us time to work out these partnerships elsewhere in the county.
Okay. Any other questions? And what are we doing? You need a motion from us?
We would ask that you, that the resolution be approved by finance to be placed on the consent calendar for the board at next Thursday's meeting, of which I'll be available if there are questions.
Okay. May I have a motion, please?
No, we don't need a motion. We're going to forward the resolution to the board with your concurrence.
I concur. Do you all? Okay. Yes,
Madam Chair?
Yes.
This is Commissioner Scott.
Yes.
Dan mentioned that this resolution, 226, was sent out to the Finance Committee. Did I hear that correctly?
Yes.
Well, once again, I have received nothing, so I know nothing about it. I haven't been able to read it or review it. I don't understand if I'm the only one on the Finance Committee that's not getting these emails, but I have not seen it. So
I read it.
yeah, I don't have it. So I have no problem with it going forward. I really don't, but that's just a statement. Thank you.
Yeah, but we'll find out where stuff is going and get it straightened out. Maybe it's an old address.
Madam Chair.
Yes.
As a member of the BCAT committee, I just want to say that we also are in favor of this. I know that was mentioned in Evan's memo. And really, for me, from the perspective of just getting these employees in a place of having consistency so that they know where they're going to be moving forward is so important. And I applaud the work that has been done by Evan and Dan and all of the different parties that have been involved trying to figure this out, just so that we can get our employees who have been working so hard on this in a place where there's some security for them of knowing that consistency of employment. So thank you.
May I ask you if you would report on that item when we have to do our finance report?
I would be happy to.
Thank you, because I was writing down things, but you just said stuff. Thank you. Thank you, Dan. And Evan is in the room. Hello. Thank you. Do you have any other questions on the transport? Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. What's next on our agenda? Brian?
Next on the agenda is the
resolution for the bills.
Yeah, so we've got resolution for the bills.
Okay. Is it a motion to pay it? Make a motion?
No, just move it forward.
Okay. And the next thing, road payables, is that what?
Yep.
And so we said we move that forward also?
Yep.
Unless anybody has questions, yep.
Okay, and then the next thing, may I have a motion to accept the minute?
Madam Chair, I make that motion that we approve the minutes from our last meeting.
Okay, And may I have a support?
Yes, you may, Madam Chair. I support that.
And would you call the roll, please, Stephanie?
Commissioner Yarborough? Commissioner Yarborough?
I said yes.
Oh, sorry. Commissioner Hinkleman?
Yes.
Commissioner Scott?
Yes.
Commissioner Freeling?
Yes, the motion carries. Are there other things on the agenda?
The only other thing is public comments. I have checked for public comments and you do not have any.
Do we have any public?
You do have some public, yep, but no comments.
Okay, you want to tell us how many?
You had, it looks like maybe 12 at one point.
Thank you.
Yep.
Was that a good question, Commissioner Scott?
Madam Chair, you always ask the most important questions.
Other items on our agenda? Administrator Doucette, you want to say something to us?
Excellent meeting.
Thank you.
Madam Chair.
Yes.
Brian, I would just ask that we really need to keep an eye on this cybersecurity for our IS system. I think that's right now, it seems to be a high priority. We can't say that we're immune from this, so we have to really put this as a top project. The other thing that I would like to comment on, Madam Chair, is usually Doug comes and gives us quarterly reports.
Yes.
How far we are and where we're located at in the budget. And I would still like to see that happen if we don't get too bogged down with a lot of waivers in that next week. If we could get a report from Doug, I'd appreciate to see where we're at in the budget.
Okay. And that's what I would pass this on to Administrator Doucette. I know you're setting up your systems and all, but that is something we talked about a week or two ago, and we missed that. We missed that sheet. So if you would talk to Doug about making a report to us, we'd appreciate it. Administrator Doucette.
That's not a problem. I'll follow up with Doug today. As it relates back to the IS concerns, Commissioner Scott, I completely understand your concern, and I'll be sitting down with Chris Swihart just to get a better handle on what upcoming expenses and the speed in which they need to be made to ensure that we keep our firewalls up as best as possible. And then as it relates to Doug, I'll connect with him later this morning and just ask that he planned to be at your next meeting.
Okay.
I thank you for that, Brian. One other thing, because as we're discussing this, we all know that this cybersecurity threat is real. That would have, I think that if anything would happen to fall under your purview as an emergency.
Got it.
You know, as well as EOC also with all of their stuff and everything. So I'm just talking the county as a whole, but thank you.
Okay. Any other comments, commissioners? Then this meeting is adjourned. Oh, anything else, Annette?
Nope.